What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Ray and Kyle podcast. Today, we're going to start off with our updated top 10 going into week 4 of the NFL season. Where are we starting off, Kyle?
Yeah, we had a lot of good games, a few upsets too. So for our number one, we're going to start off with the Miami Dolphins. They've got a very explosive offense. They come off a historical victory against the Broncos, winning 70-20, putting up 50 or winning by 50. They got two, Tyreek Waddle, Mostert, and their rookie Devin A-Chain. They really did it all last week. Their offense just stretches the defense so much, and they're so explosive that I feel like, they're like there's no reason not for them to be number one at this point. So I really like the Dolphins.
Yeah, their defense is starting to worry me a little bit, still allowing 20 points. A lot of times in the NFL, 20 points is enough to win you a game, but that offense is just too explosive to have anybody over them right now. I just don't know that any team can outscore them, even with that defense.
Yeah, for our number two, we've got the San Francisco 49ers. They've got excellent weapons, and Brock Purdy is a top-tier game manager. He's what the Cowboys wish they had in Dak Prescott. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's going to make the right play, and he's going to get the ball to the playmakers and allow them to make plays. They've got Chris McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle. They've got everything to win, and their defense is solid too, only giving up 14 points a game. So I really like this 49ers team, and I think they deserve to be at the number two spot.
Yeah, I like this 49ers team too. I think they're the most complete team in the NFL right now, offensive, defensive-wise. They both have really good units on both sides of the ball. I think they were complete last year, and they're just improved from last year, so just even more complete, and they're better on both sides of the ball. I like Brock Purdy a lot. He's what teams a lot of times need, unless you're like a Chiefs get Patrick Mahomes or some stud quarterback like that. But a lot of times you wish for a game manager like Brock Purdy who'll be able to do what he needs to do, get you 250 yards, don't turn the ball over, and gives you a chance to win. Especially that good defense is really all they need.
Yeah, I agree. For the number three spot, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs. They've got Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Kelsey's back and balling again with his new girlfriend as well. So that's always good news. Chris Jones back and playing great as well. That defense is really solid. It's the youngest and the fastest defense that Mahomes has had. So and it's the best, I think, as well. They only giving up 15 points a game and cut off a great both defensively and offensive game against the Bears, winning 41-10. Mahomes doing his thing. The weapons, the wide receivers are starting to come along too, which I think having Kelsey back relieves so much pressure, and I think the Chiefs are back getting off starting fast. So.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs had that one loss in week 1 by 1 point to a good Lions side, and they didn't have Travis Kelce. And I think Mahomes, when he's playing without Travis Kelce, just is a completely different quarterback. I don't know what it is, but they have one of the best wide receiver or tight end / wide receiver quarterback duos we've ever seen. That chemistry is crazy. So, having him just makes that Chiefs team a whole lot better.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can tell the difference between the Lions game and that last game against the Bears. Mm-hmm. So, for the number 4 spot, they've dropped 4 places. They were our number 1 team last week, but we got the Dallas Cowboys. Now, a lot of people want to blame this game on Dak Prescott, but I think that's foolish. And if somebody would just look at the stats that the Cowboys put up, we all know they should have won this game last week. I think they just kind of overlooked this Cardinals team, and I expect them to bounce back big against the Patriots. Their defense is still a top 5, I believe, but I think it may not be quite as historical and great as we thought it was, but it is still a top unit in the league. The Trayvon Diggs injury is big, though. That's really a shutdown corner that's now ripped. He's a top 5 corner in the league, and he's now ripped from the Cowboys. So that's big. But I think the Cowboys will get back on track. They still got Dak, who's a top 12 quarterback. They've got a very, very good receiving core with CeeDee Lamb and Brooks. And Michael Gallup had a good game too, so that's good to see him starting to play well. And Pollard still had 122 yards of rushing. So I think the Cowboys are 4 and still the team to beat in the NFC East.
Yeah, this Cowboys team, I'm not too worried about them. After looking as good as they did week 1, then having that fluke in week 2, but it's not college. Teams are allowed to lose, and it's not like it was a bad loss. That Cardinals team is a lot better than people think, and even offensively, stats compared to the Cardinals, they still outdid them. It's just they got to be more efficient. They got to get the ball in the end zone. I don't like they gave up 28 points, even though it's not like they gave up 28 points to the Bears because the Bears were significantly worse than the Cardinals. But I don't. I'm not too worried about the Cowboys. They'll be fine. They'll bounce back.
Yeah, for the second team in the NFC East and the Super Bowl runner-ups, we got the Philadelphia Eagles coming at number 5. They're solid and they're just so much more talented than the teams they've been playing. That I feel like them starting off 3-0 is not a shocker at all. Uh, they go as their run game goes. Over the last 2 games, they're averaging over 200 yards rushing, and that involves Hurts, that involves Swift. I mean, when they run the ball well, they win convincingly. I am still concerned a little bit with Jalen Hurts being forced to be a passer. He had his highest passing yards of the season, but he also had 2 interceptions. So I think those two kind of correlate. Their defense, especially their secondary, can get got. Last year, any real quarterback or legit top 10 quarterback they played exposed them. Besides Kirk Cousins, that was the only one. That was the only outlier. They do have great weapons though with Brown, Smith, Swift, and Goddard. So I really do like this team still, and I mean they have arguably the best O line with Kelsey and Lane Johnson. So I think this team goes as the O line goes, but I think their secondary can get got. But I mean their D line is amazing. Jalen Carter was a steal of the draft. I mean how they got him that late is insane. But I got the Eagles at 5. So.
Yeah, I like the Eagles team too. I think they're about as what they were last year. There's just a lot of teams that have improved from last year. Hurts isn't playing as well as he did last year, but I still think the Eagles team is really good defensively and offensively. Everybody knows how good their offensive line is, and defensively they have one of the better units in the league. So I think that Eagles team will be a good, consistent team. I don't know that they'll be too much of a contender. They definitely have a shot, but there's just a lot of NFC talent that I think they're gonna have a problem with.
Yeah, I agree. Right now they're the 3rd team for me in the NFC, which, as you can tell. So for the number 6 spot, I've got the Buffalo Bills. The one and only concern I have with this team is the quarterback, but he's also the best player on the team. So, and I think that's really why they're so, I guess you can say, low compared to, I mean, just on paper they have everything: Diggs, Josh Allen, and their defense is actually really solid. Last week they had 4 interceptions against the Commanders. Dominated win against the Commanders, only giving up 3 points. They've got a solid secondary with Hyde and Poyer, and Von Miller is coming back at some point. I mean, we know what he once was, the 2015 Super Bowl MVP. They're only giving up 11 points a game on the defensive side of the ball, so I think the defensive side of the ball it is definitely a positive, and I think they're a little underrated. But the one and only concern I have is, can Josh Allen string together consecutive weeks of good games, which he has. The first week, as we know, terrible, 3 interceptions, they lose. The last 2 weeks, he's been very, very good, and they've blown out teams. Now, granted, it was the Raiders and the Commanders, but I mean, when he protects the ball and doesn't try to do too much, they win. But when he turns the ball over, they lose. So I think my biggest question is can he string together consistent games with no turnovers or not any bad turnovers?
Yeah, I like that Bills team a lot too. I like Josh Allen a lot. I like him a lot more than a lot of people do, just because I feel like he's got really, really good upside. Like you said, he needs to protect the ball. I think they have a good wide receiver core that makes it tough on defenses. To me, they remind me a lot of the Dolphins, but they're just a little bit, I would say, less talented.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they can compete over there in the loaded AFC.
Yeah, which I agree with. I mean, I think this Dolphins and Bills game this weekend will kind of really tell just how good the Dolphins are as well as the Bills. And I think the answer are partly answer my question about can Allen protect the ball. Because, I mean, that game's going to be a shootout, and there's going to be points put up. So for the number 7 spot, I've got the Cleveland Browns. They haven't really played anybody. I understand that, but their defense is putting up historical numbers. They've only allowed 490 yards through 3 games this season. That's the best since 1970. And Deshaun Watson he's improving every week, and he's been showing major glimpses, of that pre-massaged Deshaun Watson. He's coming off his best game in 2 years, and they've got solid weapons still. Now they did lose Chubb. I mean that was a gruesome injury, but the backup forward coming in, he seems to be legit. I mean, when he came in for Chubb, he still put up over 100 yards, and he didn't really play the first quarter at all. They've got Amari Cooper too, Njoku and Peoples Jones as well. So I like this Browns team, but I think right now it's hard to put them any higher just because they haven't really played anybody. Now they did beat the Bengals, but I mean the Bengals start off shaky every year. But I really like their defense, and I think Deshaun Watson is going to keep improving.
Yeah, I like the Browns, but I wouldn't have them quite that high. I'd have them at 9. But yeah, they've won games, but like you said against the Bengals, I don't really know how much credit I give them that for, because that team was not ready to play. That Bengals team was not ready. Joe Burrow had not had enough practice. They just weren't ready to play. So I like the Browns team, but we're gonna definitely have to see more from them coming up soon.
Yeah, I mean, and I can see that too. For my number 8 team, I've got the Seattle Seahawks. They had a bad opening game, so I feel like that kind of left and still has just leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. But the offense is flowing very nice. They're averaging over 28 points a game, and they only have one turnover on offense. That's the fewest in the NFL. And Geno Smith, I feel like he's still proving people wrong. He's a veteran, but it's really only the third year that he's been a true starter. The last two games, he's averaging over 300 passing yards. He's got a 3-to-1 TD INT ratio. So, I mean, and they've got very good weapons too. They've got a very, very, very underrated receiving core. They've got, DK and Lockett. Those two are legit. And they've got that nice rookie, Smith and Jigab out of Ohio State. So I like the Seattle team. They did also have a good OT win against the Lions week 2. So that was a little bit of a bounce back week against the Rams. So they're going to have 18, and I really like the Seattle team.
Yeah, I like their offense more than I like their defense. I think their offense is scoring a lot. I like Geno a lot too. I kind of compare him to Brock Purdy. But the one thing to me that I really like about them is their wide receiver core. I think they have one of, if not the best wide receiver duos in the league. And I think that team is really hard to cover on defense. So I think they're going to continue to score points. I just need to see a little bit more from their defense. Still allowing teams to score over 30 points, but I mean, you're winning the game. So I mean, that's going to keep you high, but it's not going to win a Super Bowl. So I need their defense to lock in a little bit more. But I do like the Seattle Seahawks team. I would just have them 2 slots lower in my 10.
For my number 9 spot, I've got the Detroit Lions. They've got a much improved defense. Last year they were in the mid-20s defensively, but now they're ranked at number 11. They've got a capable quarterback with Jared Goff, and they've got pretty good weapons too with St. Brown, Gibbs, which is rookie, and Laporte got a breakout game last week. They had 7 sacks against Atlanta. Now, mind you, Atlanta's not a great team, and I do believe that Detroit is significantly better than them, like they proved. But they're 10-3 since week 9 of last year. So I think the team is really buying into Dan Campbell, and I think they're learning how to win. So I got them at my 9 spot, and I think they deserve to be there.
Yeah, I like this Lions team. I'm still indecisive on them just because, I mean, they had that week 1 win against the Chiefs, who we all knew wasn't ready to play that week because they didn't have Kelsey. But also then they went and lost to the Seahawks. So, I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, they're putting up points. They put up 21 on the Chiefs defense and over 30 on the Seahawks defense. So, I mean, I like them, but I'm definitely going to need to see more out of their defense to hold teams because, I mean, they allow the Chiefs without Kelsey to put up 20. They allowed the Seahawks to put up 37. I mean, I like them, but I think to have any shot in that AFC with those high-powered offenses, you've got to stop teams from scoring.
Yeah, and I agree, which that is a concern too, I feel like, with the Lions. For my number 10 spot, I've got the Baltimore Ravens. This team, it's kind of hard to get a grip on them. They had a 5-9 win week 1 against the Houston Texans, which, as we can say now, I mean, it's not as bad as we thought they were. CJ Stroud is a lot better than people thought they were. He's balling, but my big concern is really Lamar Jackson and with his new OC, Todd Monken. I'm not sure if this type of offense fits him, and I'm not sure if he's capable of being a pocket passer or being able to be a throw first threat. But I think for them to reach the goal they want, which is the Super Bowl, he's going to need to do that. I mean, I believe that he has the tools to. I'm just not sure if he's capable of doing it, if he can really put it all together. He just doesn't look very comfortable, He's only got a 3-to-2 TD interception ratio, and he's only passed for 3 touchdowns. He's ran for more touchdowns than he's passed for, and they just come off a bad loss against the Colts. Honestly, it really was. So, I mean, their defense is solid. So, I think their defense is a little better than people thought they were or would be. But I mean, my biggest concern is just can they get the offensive side of the ball right? Honestly.
Yeah, I actually have this Ravens team a couple spots higher. You have them in the 10, I have them in the 7. I like this Ravens team a lot. I don't put too much fault in them last week because they had a lot of injuries, and they've had a lot of injuries. So I think as soon as they get a remotely healthy, I think this team's going to be a lot better than people think. I like Lamar Jackson. I mean, everybody knows what he is as a rusher. He's been developing as a passer. I don't know if he's going to get there quite this year, but in the years coming, I think he's definitely going to end up being one of the he might jump into the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. I don't have him there now by any means, but I think he'll get there. So as soon as he can with those weapons around him, that speed and that defense, I think he'll be all right.
I mean, yeah, which that's the thing. He's so big of a run threat that if he can just become a little more than a capable quarterback, like he was similar to his MVP year, I mean, I think this Ravens team is a team to watch.
Yeah, I think they do still need to get him a couple more weapons on the offensive end. I mean, you have a couple of weapons for him, especially now getting Odell. But I mean, we all know what Odell has been the last couple of years. I mean, he's he was good for his ACL, so we'll see if he can bounce back from that. But